Hey everyone, finish watching the next episode of Samurai Sticks and Stones. While training, Emily hurts Mike. When she tries to help, she feels she's only making things worse and blames herself. A new Nylok, Negatron, has the ability to channel insults into a destructive force. The Rangers go to stop him and discover an additional power. Negatron can look into their minds and know their secrets. Only Emily seems to be immune to his attacks. The Nylok retreats and the Rangers ask why it couldn't hurt Emily. She explains that she was bullied and teased as a kid, and she learned to tune out the negativity. Mike questions why she always puts herself down, but she can't explain and runs away. Bulk and Spike have an encounter with the Nylok and decide to go out and fight it themselves. Negatron is on Xandred's boat and insults Dayu's shamisen playing. She tries to fight back, but Octoroon says they're just testing to make sure his power still works. Mike finds Emily and apologizes for hurting her feelings. Emily tells him that she used to cry a lot, but her sister would make her feel better. When she got sick and Emily took her place as a samurai, she was the one who cried. Emily promised herself she wouldn't cry anymore. Mike insists that she doesn't need to feel sorry for herself. The Nylok appears and the Rangers go out to stop him. We get a really long morphing sequence. I really don't think this is necessary to see every episode. The Rangers fight through Moogers, and we just have to see the weapon summoning sequences, followed by the Rangers' quips. Emily uses symbol power to stuff Negatron's mouth with rocks, and the Rangers destroy him with the beetle cannon. Negatron grows, and we have to sit through the entire repetitive Zord summoning sequence. It's not the actual Zord formation that's repetitive, it's each of the Rangers writing out their symbols and calling out their Zords' names, and the choreography is... Maybe this wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't all exactly the same. Back in Mighty Morphin, when the Rangers would summon their Zords, at least the accompanying visuals, each Ranger had their own thing going on. They'd call out a different name, and they had a different pose to go along with it. While they fight Negatron, Bulk and Spike happen by. The Megazord defeats Negatron for good. Bulk and Spike cheer. The Rangers celebrate with ice cream. I like this one, but it's got some flaws. Overall, it is a fun one. Negatron stands out quite a bit. I think anyone who's ever been critical of Power Rangers would really appreciate him. His insults are kid-friendly, but pretty harsh at times. His name, I think, is a reference to Megatron, the main villain in most Transformers series. He isn't particularly well known for insults, and Negatron doesn't look robotic at all. I'm not sure why the character may have inspired that name. Another possibility is that Negatron is named like a VR Troopers monster. Most of them had names ending in Ba or Tron, regardless of any robotic qualities. This occasionally happened in Mighty Morphin, too. Emily's story is fine, and her actress is improving. I'm curious about her sister. If she was well enough, could she become a ranger alongside Emily? How do the Samurai Rangers handle siblings? Does only one get powers, or do all of them? If we ever get a Samurai continuation, will we see her sister recovered and on the team alongside Emily? Negatron gets a neat little foreshadowing bit that's easy to miss or forget on a first-time watch-through. He tells Jaden he's a liar with a secret. We don't get any more information in this episode about what that could mean. Having watched Shinkenger first, most fans could probably make a pretty good guess about what that implies, especially since this is another Samurai episode that adapts Shinkenger extremely closely. The one major thing Power Rangers has that Shinkenger doesn't is Bulk and Spike. Their role here isn't bad. They get to encounter the monster and even attempt to be proactive and fight it themselves. They don't get a chance, but at least they tried. They're still superfluous, but gradually they're starting to become more connected to the plot. Emily's talk about crying a lot reminded me of the comic Ranger Academy, where a major trait of Sage, the main character, is crying. Though Sage isn't always crying due to bullying, it's due to anxiety. I was curious what Negatron's Shinkenger counterpart's insults were, and shockingly, they were far tamer than his. Maybe it's the fan subs losing something in translation, but from what I can understand, they're pretty close. Maybe there's some cultural context I'm missing, in which case there's not much I can do about that. Negatron's counterpart, Zibashimeshi's insults, are also vague at times, and about things not clear to the audience. The Blue Ranger has issues with his father, apparently. I definitely prefer Kevin being called boring. We've only seen Ryunosuke's father once, I think, and I don't recall there being a lot of friction in their relationship. The Pink Ranger gets called Old Maid for life when it was established earlier in the episode that she wasn't good at cooking. It feels like Shinkenger missed a clear and obvious setup there. The Red Ranger still gets called a liar, but there's nothing about him having a secret. I prefer Samurai's take on the scene, but I guess Shinkenger could be considered less blatant with its foreshadowing and more subtle. Negatron also takes sadistic glee in his insults, while Zubo Shimeshi just seems to approach what he does in a more workmanlike way. He laughs like any other monster of the day would, but he's just not as over-the-top as Negatron. Now I'm extra curious to see how the Japanese dub of Samurai handled Negatron. The Japanese Power Rangers dubs go back and forth on how they handle the monsters' voices. Sometimes they'll try to emulate the English voice, other times they'll ignore it and do what they sounded like in Sentai, and then sometimes they'll just do whatever and not try to sound like either previous incarnation of the monster. After watching the Japanese dub of this episode, I've learned Negatron's voice does indeed emulate his English voice, and his insults are kept pretty close to those in Power Rangers. I tried looking up the actors who played Emily and her sister from the flashback, but I couldn't find much on either of them. Negatron was voiced by David Van Horn, who would go on to voice a few other one-off monsters. He was also an acting coach for the Netflix adaptation of the comic Sweet Tooth, which I just thought was interesting. Samurai continues to improve. Hopefully next time is another strong entry. That's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.
Based on how you park, this is a big step up!